Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Dorsey, has the GAO investigated the progress of the federal agencies or the private sector in implementing the guidance and requirements laid out in the May executive order from the President to modernize and strengthen the defense of federal technology systems?
Thank you for that question, Congressman. However, you asked whether or not the GAO has investigated. I think that question should be directed towards the GAO representative. If I'm not mistaken.
I'm sorry, yeah. Well, the GAO representative, Mr. Marinos, can answer that.
Yes, Congressman, happy to. We have looked at aspects of the executive order. We actually just have work underway right now, specifically looking at the progress that's been made by the administration in actually overseeing whether the many requirements that it's placed on agencies have actually been adhered to. So there are aspects within it that our work has touched on, including cloud computing and supply chain more recently, but we have work underway right now that's going to be looking squarely at the executive order.
And do you have the timeline laid out for the report already?
We're expecting to be able to periodically report on the status of implementing the executive order throughout the upcoming calendar year. So we're looking to provide information out sort of in a real-time basis, looking to provide something closer to the early spring.
Early spring, thank you. And Mr. Dorsey, then, though, back to you. At what point would the DOTIG get involved?
Well, actually, thank you for your question, Congressman. Actually, we have actually already initiated a review of the DOT's efforts to implement cloud-based services with respect to the requests or issues that were identified in the presidential executive order for directing federal agencies to ensure that they secure their cloud-based services as they migrate forward. We're also planning to look at the department's efforts to implement or migrate towards a zero trust architecture as outlined in the president's executive order 2. I've also been in contact with the department's chief information officer, and he has informed me that the department is working towards addressing the current initiatives. And I plan to work with him over the next year or two to ensure that the department is doing what they say they're planning to do, as well as report back to this administration as necessary. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Grossman, the U.S. aviation sector is very complex. I'm sure that you are considering that complexity as you consider how to make the system less vulnerable to cyber attacks. But the testimony from GAO in the first part of the hearing a few weeks ago stated that less than half of the respondents to a global study investigating cybersecurity trends within the air transport industry identified cybersecurity as a top organizational risk. Have you all considered how Congress can incentivize the private sector to address cybersecurity issues?
How Congress can
incentivize the private sector to address these cybersecurity issues that persist in the air transport industry.
Well, we have reached out to industry through the Aviation Cyber Initiative extensively. We've built a community of interest of over 1,000 members that's across all of the components of the aviation ecosystem, and we're using the bully pulpit to and it seems to be from an aviation perspective, we seem to be gaining a lot of traction.
Can I follow up on that with a particular issue? And I don't know if you're handling this at the FAA, but Chair DeFazio and I recently have expressed safety concerns to the Federal Communications Commission on the telecom industry's plan to utilize the C-band for 5G broadband service and the potential interference with aircraft radio altimeters. I know that Administrator Dixon is weighing in on this with the FCC. Can you update us on what the status of that is? And as well, are there other technologies that are coming online that we need to be concerned about?
Oh, Congressman, thank you for that question. I'm not personally involved with the 5G effort, but I am aware that the telecommunications companies have voluntarily agreed to a 1-month deployment delay to their 5G C-band to allow further safety analysis. We believe that aviation and 5G C-band wireless services can safely coexist, and the FCC and FAA are using this time to gather, exchange information to come up with a path forward.
Yeah, I guess implied in our letter is that whatever solution you all think you come up with, that we'd be very interested in that solution to make some determinations about our own thoughts on it.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.